Nice and steady, you can make it up on other stages. Oh. This could be the longest 1.5 minutes of my life. Oh my word.
Some of the best drivers in the world pushing themselves and their machines to the very limits in the pursuit of excellence. They're with us here today at Brands Hatch, the home of British motorsport, to help celebrate the 10th anniversary edition of Speed Test, run this year for the Shell Oils Rallysprint Trophy. Hello, welcome to Brands Hatch and indeed Speed Test, which is designed to examine almost every department of a driver's skills. The winner today will know that he, or perhaps she, because we have a lady involved this year too, has been involved in a real scrap in the nicest sense of the word. How about this for a lineup? Palmer, Brundle and Warwick, Kankkunen, Eklund and Blomqvist, 1, 2 and 3, those three in this year's Lombard RAC Rally. It's also traditional that we involve three youngsters. It's a wonderful opportunity, this, for them to shine and make some sort of name for themselves, as proved to be the case last year for Damon Hill, our winner. Damon, of course, the son of the late and the great Graham Hill. Well, regular Speed Test watchers will know exactly what we're all about. It's serious stuff, although we do expect to have a laugh or two at some stage along the way. For those of you new to this competition, here's our commentator, Tony Jardine, who'll be running through for us exactly what's going to be happening.
Yes, indeed, Richard. The annual battle between the world's best rally drivers and the world's best racing drivers over 3 disciplines. And firstly, a 1-mile rally stage over the loose in 3-litre Toyota Supras. Then the auto test in front-wheel drive Toyotas to test the driver's abilities to the full between lines of cones with penalties if you touch one. Then onto the racetrack where the racing drivers get their chance to prove their worth in identical Toyota MR2s.
But the man who's going to be first away on the first of those disciplines, the rally stage, is Martin Brundle, the 28-year-old racing driver, the Grand Prix man who's driven for Zakspeed this year and finished 5th at the San Marino Grand Prix, and also has won a race for Jaguar this year. But this time he's going to be driving a Toyota Supra. Nick Britton flags him away. It's the big 3-litre Toyota Supra, and Martin Brundle, the Norfolk man, has got to try and get this round the rally stage as fast as he possibly can. Brundle's been jinxed on this event in the past. He's always tried very, very hard to win it, but he has complained that he's had to carry the camera, because if you carry the camera, you always make mistakes and go wrong. This time he wants to win the Speed Test outright if he can, beat those rally drivers. As he heads for the first of the splits down onto South Bank, and he goes through there in a 31.1, so he's setting the precedent now for those who will follow, the other racing drivers and of course the rally drivers, including twice world champion Juha Kankkunen. Let's watch Brundle at action now as he goes towards the loop. Bit of a crash box, very straight cut gears on the Group A Toyota. Using up all that track, co-driver clapping his hands. That's one of the sponsors in the hot seat there, getting a nice ride from Martin Brundle. Just setting up the car nicely, back into South Bank on the climb, up the outside of Graham Hill Bend and towards the top at Druids, and that's quite neat. That's slightly harder packed up here. Whoop, opposite lock slide, through the banks and across behind Druids and heading towards the gate, which is very narrow, so attention here, Martin, we're all watching you through the camera. Good, nice and neat through there, power on, up to the red line on the rev limiter, and under the start-finish banner, and that's a 1 minute 33.8 for Brundle. Martin, 1 minute 33.8.
Oh, that was slow.
Was it?
Yeah.
What did you do in practice?
I did a 32 something, but that was on the second run. The first run takes a bit of time to get warmed up.
And the second man on the rally stage is the first of our rally drivers, Juha Kankkunen, the double world rally champion, and he was the youngest ever world champion in 1986. But alongside him today is our presenter, Richard Keys, so he's in for a few scares.
Nice
nice and steady. You can make it up on other stages. Oh. This could be the longest 1.5 minutes of my life. Oh, my word. Righty. Mind the trees. Oh. Toe to freight gone from the near side.
And Kankinen 31 dead at the split, slightly ahead of Martin Brundle, and he's giving it his all. Richard Keys, who normally works at breakfast time, is probably trying to keep his breakfast down right now.
Oh, here we go. Righty. Limey.
Kankinen clearly giving it 110%. He doesn't want these racing drivers to beat him over his own discipline, the rally stage. This is his art. He wants to keep them behind him. Full power slide round through Druids. Beautiful car control from the world champion. Exceptional. And of course he'll be driving for Toyota again in 1988 in their new four-wheel drive Group A car. Look at that! How'd he get through that gate? Tremendous.
I think we're finished. Oh, steady up.
And a great time. 1 minute 30.66 as Kankinen spins the car around. And Richard Keys tries to recover.
How do you feel after that lot? It's quite good. It's quite good. I'm not sure we went the right way, but we made it. Did we do well?
You did very well. You did a 1 minute 30.66. What did it feel like to be with the double world champion?
It's extraordinary. It's a great privilege, to be fair.
Lots of people would like to be in that seat, you know, Richard.
No, they can have it. Let me out.
Well done, anyway. Juha. 1 minute 30.66. What about that?
Was not so good because the fuel pressure light came on both sides, so the long straight line, the car was not going perfectly, but was all right.
Nothing to do with the late night last night?
Not really.
What were you...
Was so short special stage. So what was Martin's time?
I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. Oh, all right then. 1 minute 33.8.
Okay, we beat him anyway, so it was all
We're in the
right.
lead. It's all down to the co-driver.
And the first of the newcomers to go on the rally stage is Gary Brabham, the Australian son of 3 times world champion Sir Jack Brabham. Age 26, he lives near Brands Hatch, where he prepares his Formula 3 car, and he's won twice this year in that Formula 3 car. Let's see if he can win in the Toyota at Brands Hatch, a place that he should know well, but of course he normally drives on the tarmac on the inside, not on this loose stuff in a Group A rally car, especially a Group A rally car like this Toyota, which has got 300 brake horsepower, 2-wheel drive of course, but it's a very hairy beast indeed. So far so good for Gary Brabham, a smooth style as you can see, slightly different from Kankinen, but tail out nevertheless. Gary Brabham is getting that power down really well as he goes along South Bank heading towards the loop. Now you can see that the mud is a bit more glutinous down there. This is power sapping stuff as he heads to the loop, hanging onto the gear lever, power on, big slide, tail well out. But Gary Brabham going extremely well. In fact, as he went through the split on his way down, he was 31.4, so that compared favourably with Kankinen, who was 31 at the split on the way down. So that's extremely good. Gary Brabham for the newcomers, doing well. Back behind Druids, just missing that oil drum, and there's the spectators all up on the bank, watching the action for themselves, looking in at the cockpit. Gary Brabham now's got to negotiate the gate. Oh, tail out just a little bit, but through neatly and underneath the finish line. 1:31.77, a good time. Now Derek Warwick, the racing driver, the Grand Prix Arrows driver, aged 33. He's from Alresford in Hampshire. Now he would like to try and beat that dearly. He's got it all to do in the Toyota on the rally stage. Nick Britton drops the Union Jack. And don't be fooled, incidentally, by that other Warwick helmet alongside Derek there in the cockpit. That is his co-driver, and that is an autocar journalist sitting alongside superstar Derek Warwick. Very different place of work for him today. He's normally in the confines of an Arrows car, Grand Prix car on slick tyres with wings. Oh, and he's off on the grass there. I'm sure he doesn't do that in his Arrows. Warwick slipping and sliding in the big Toyota on the way through, down past South Bank, and at the split time as he went down there, he was 31.7, so slightly slower, but still in contention. Inside the cockpit with Warwick. Down through the loop, down through the gearbox. Those hands are dancing across that steering wheel there. Warwick, of course, came through the ranks from stock cars, Formula Ford, Formula 3. He's got a lot of experience. And of course, he would like to do the RAC Rally if he could, if someone could make him an offer. He'd like to do it in a four-wheel drive Group A car if he could. But he's showing all potential sponsors and vehicle manufacturers that he can do it here at Brands Hatch at the speed test, through the gate neatly. Down the hill towards the start-finish line. Let's wait and see what the time says. 1 minute 33.01 for Warwick. Now, Per Eklund, the rally driver, the man who's age 40, the Swede who finished second on the RAC Rally in his privately entered Audi Quattro before he was disqualified after the event. Of course, that is pending appeal, but he's here today, back in a Toyota. He's driven for them previously and won the Group A titles for Team Toyota GB in their Corollas, and now he's being reacquainted with his old mounts, the Toyotas. He started his rallying in 1964 in front-wheel drive Saabs, but he is spectacular. Let's watch him for a while. Per Eklund, or Pecker as he's known by the British fans who love watching this exuberant style. He's giving it everything. I'm sure the co-driver's enjoying that. And as he went down through the split, Pecker was 31.1, so he's well in contention as he goes along South Bank. Per Eklund, who drove this year in an experimental Nissan in the Himalayan Rally as well, through that dip outside the loop. The car taking a little bit of a pummeling as it goes down onto the sump guard. Not even bothering to lift his foot from the accelerator as he drags that gear lever down into fourth. Back across South Bank and heading up the hill. Graham Hill bend on the outside and towards Druids Bend. Per Eklund lock to lock on the steering. Really making the car work exceptionally hard. And he's looking for a fast time. Together with Kankinen, they are in the rally drivers team. They want to beat these racing drivers and show who's best. Down towards the finish. And look at the time. It's 1 minute 32.14 for Eklund. Spinning the car round.
Per, good morning.
Morning.
How was the stage?
Oh, it was quite nice.
Yeah? And what about your time was 32.14. So it makes you about fourth quickest at the moment.
The car I have yesterday was much quicker.
Okay, well, there's still a race in the auto test to go, you know. So you've got to attack.
We try. I promise you.
And now for the second of the newcomers, and a newcomer with a difference. Emily Newman, the 17-year-old lady. She's a Brands Hatch racing instructor, and she was British kart champion in 1984. And she's a very brave girl because she's taking on the racing drivers and the rally drivers. And away she goes on the special stage, the first of the disciplines for her. And she's going to probably take a little bit easy. Let's see. She's been to the Bill Gwynn Rally School to try and learn how to handle this big rally car, this 300 brake horsepower on the Toyota. So far, so good. She's quite gingerly touching those pedals there, but you can see her hands still dancing around on the steering wheel, trying to make this rally car do exactly what she wants it to do. She goes down onto South Bank. Oh, and she's honking her horn. Must mean there's someone on the stage. But at the split there, Emily Newman, the 17-year-old, was on 36.36, so she was a little bit slower, understandably. Still hitting the horn. That must mean there's a lady driver on the way. Keep out of the way. Well, she was quite slow through the loop there. I suspect she didn't want to make a nonsense of it. But the car bottomed out as it went through that dip. They're still honking the horn. It's all right, Emily, we can all see you. Well, these cars are beefy. They do take a lot of work. As you can see, Emily's having to twirl her hands on the wheel because you really have to be forceful with them. I think she missed a gear there. That's going to drop her valuable seconds. She heads towards the gate. Be careful, Emily. Just get it home in one piece. And she's through there okay. Back onto the finish straight. Let's see what time she's done. 1 minute 44.70. Emily, big smile there. Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Why? What happened?
I kept missing second and getting fourth.
Yeah.
So it was a big cock up, really.
Oh, I see. Slightly different to your Formula Ford, isn't it?
Just a little bit.
What about your passenger?
He's alright.
Pretty impressed, really. I wanted to change gear for her.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, it was a highly respectable time. You did a good job with this big brute of a car. Well done.
Last year.
Well, she thinks she was slow, but there's still 2 more disciplines to go for Emily Newman. And now it's the turn of Dr. Jonathan Palmer, the racing driver, the normally aspirated Formula One world champion of 1987, age 31. He's British, of course. He flies the flag for Britain all over the Grand Prix circuits of the world. And now he's out to prove his talent in other vehicles. And Jonathan cites one of his hobbies as purely driving, and he loves driving any kind of vehicle whatsoever. And here he is on a rally stage in a full rally-prepared Toyota Supra. The same Toyota Supras that won the Hong Kong Peking Rally this year. It also went to the Ivory Coast Rally. Toyota, of course, have won East African Safari before now as well, so these are tough cars. And Palmer's getting to grips quite nicely as he goes through the split there at 31.5, so that's not bad from Palmer. He's quicker than Brabham so far, but not quite as quick as Kankinen, who was on 31 dead through the split. Palmer, the racing driver, hanging on to the gear lever and smoothly twirling that steering wheel. Being as smooth as possible, obviously looking for apexes, as racing drivers do, whereas rally drivers chuck the car a little bit more. But Palmer's doing well, tail out quite nicely there. Back up South Bank and on the outside of Graham Hill Bend, heading towards Druids. Lots of spectators out watching their heroes. Palmer is one of their heroes. He's won a lot of races at Brands Hatch. Let's see if he can win on a rally stage as he comes towards the start-finish line. And over the finish, 1 minute 32.90 for Palmer. Jonathan, I've never seen you with your tail out before.
Well, terrific fun, isn't it?
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, I did, yeah. What's the time?
Well, the time was 1 minute 32.90, and at the moment we make you 4th overall. Now, it's a very good time.
Not really. I was a bit slow coming through the gates here.
Were you using the clutch at all?
The clutch is sticking a little bit, but
Because your gear changes sounded very rapid indeed.
no, it was just a full throttle, a typical Formula One pole position qualifying lap to gear change, I'm afraid.
You try.
Yeah, no holds barred here.
And now the third of the rally stars, Stig Blomqvist, who should shine over the rally stage. Swedish, he's age 41, and he's been driving for Ford this year in their Sierra, but now he's got to drive the big Toyota on the rally stage, and he's got to try and beat Juha Kankinen's time of 1 minute 30.66. And that is like red rag to a bull, because there is a Finn ahead of a Swede. See what the Swede can do about that. Blomqvist, the world champion in 1984. As co-driver, is very privileged, of course, to be with this man, who is an expert. He's driven for Audi. He's driven the Tall, but he's driven Saab in his early days, the front-wheel drive Saabs. And he's won the Swedish championship innumerable times. And to show how versatile Stig Blomqvist is, he has actually won the Swedish hill climb championship this year. It's a great shot of him down on South Bank coming towards the loop. Just throwing that tail out nice in the second gear, and you see the car dive into that dip on the outside of the loop. You've got to get that power down now, straight through that gearbox. Blomqvist, there he is. Around the South Bank, tail out. Not too much, however. Still looks like he's going to be very fast, and in fact, at the split, it was 31.5, and it was 31 dead for Kankkunen, so he could pull back here on the second part of the special stage. This first discipline on the speed test. Blomqvist now, let's watch the clock as it goes under the banner. The finish, 1 minute 31.73. Now, the third of our newcomers and the last to go on the rally stage, Paul Warwick, brother of Derek. Now, he's a newcomer, but he's aged 18 and he's British, and he's a double Formula Ford champion. And in fact, he was second in the European Formula Ford 2000 Championship. A great racing driver, shown a lot of promise, but he hasn't done very much on the loose in rally cars, and he's had a little bit of tuition from his brother Derek. So he's got it all to prove today, because Derek's watching very, very closely, and Paul is being neat and tidy. Unavoidable to get that tail out on the Toyota. 3-litre, 300 brake horsepower, goes down the outside of Druids and towards South Bank. And that is where the mud gets thicker and the power starts getting sapped up from those rear wheels. This car, of course, it's Toyota's flagship in the rallying world this year. But these are racing drivers driving them now. Into the loop, he's very cautious through the dip and up through the gearbox, along the South Bank, just inside the Grand Prix racing track, where Paul has so often raced, and of course his brother has too. There he's running a little bit wide, coming up towards Druids, back up to the top, where the spectators are looking down into the cockpit of this young 18-year-old at work. Now, at the split, he was slightly slower. That was a 32.7 earlier on at the split. Let's see what his final time is. As he comes towards the finish. 1 minute 35.31, a little bit slow.
Paul.
Yes.
Brother Derek's listening, so don't say too much, but he just pipped you on the rally stage.
He didn't.
He did.
By how much?
2.5 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. So I think you've got it all to do in the auto test and the race.
It's no problem. I'm just letting him get in front at the moment, that's all.
He told me he'd give me a head start.
He gets all sulky if I don't.
Paul and Derek Warwick, and already some fairly obvious rivalry between those two. Well, let's have a look how things stand at the end of that first discipline. Our leader, Juha Kankkunen. Not too sure how much the co-driver had to do with that, but already I can tell you I've got my eye on some of the prizes. Juha's time, 1 minute 30.66. In second place, Stig Blomqvist, 1 minute 31.73. Third, Gary Brabham. We warned you to keep an eye on the youngsters. Gary already prominent in the first 3 places. 4, it's Per Eklund. 5, Jonathan Palmer. 6, Derek Warwick. 7, Martin Brundle. 8, Paul Warwick. And 9, the 17-year-old Emily Newman. That's where we'll take a break for a couple of minutes. Join us again when we'll be watching the next discipline. Hello again. Welcome back to Brands Hatch, which is hosting the 10th anniversary edition of Speed Test. The leader after the first discipline, the rallycross stage, Juha Kankkunen. Not surprisingly, I suppose, he is the world champion. Let's see how he goes now during this second discipline, the auto test stage. 1 or 2 of the drivers already practicing down there. Let's rejoin Tony Jardine.
Thank you, Richard. This discipline requires both precise car control and speed. Immediately the car moves away from the start, the drivers have to throw their vehicle into a 180-degree spin, ready to reverse into the tight confines of the pen. Once inside the pen, the drivers must execute a 360-degree turn, ending up with the car facing backwards in order to reverse out. But should the car touch a gate or barrier here or anywhere else on the course, the driver incurs a 10-second penalty. The driver now reverses out of the pen, giving it full left lock, lining the car up ready to move forward to the next obstacle, placing his car between the cones, ending up astride the white line. If he doesn't, it's another penalty. Then it's backwards again across the course and reversing into a garage and getting all four wheels behind the white line before driving out. They then make a tight 360-degree turn around a central bollard and must finally stop astride the finish line. Should a driver deviate from the route at any point, then it's a 10-second penalty plus the fastest time of the day. But now it's for real, and let's watch Grand Prix driver Martin Brundle see if he can get it right. Here he goes into his 180-degree. There he is. He's got to go into that pen backwards, and he's done it perfectly. Now the 360-degree, putting that power on the front-wheel drive Toyota Corolla. Well done indeed, Martin. Out backwards, lining himself to go through the next obstacle. Front wheels over that white line and reversing across the course into the garage. All four wheels across the white line. Well done again, Martin Brundle. Now round that central bollard, 360 degrees. Difficult to handbrake this car. It's front-wheel drive and over towards the finish. Wheels astride the white line. Well done, Martin. Nice one, Martin. Very good indeed.
It's all right.
Looked very smooth from out here.
Did it? Felt terrible in there.
Any problems sort of grating across the gearbox at all?
Grating across the gearbox? No, actually.
Just a suggestion, Martin.
No.
Anyway.
No, it was a good run, actually. I quite enjoyed that. It's better with the water down. Didn't hit anything, I don't think.
No.
Got around in that box. It's just pot luck getting around in the middle of that box.
I think you've had a good time.
I hope so. I need to.
Now the world champion, the double world rally champion, Juha Kankkunen. This is one of the disciplines that he should know a lot about. And that is our camera looking down on Kankkunen, the Finn at work, twirling that wheel inside the box now, looking for a 360-degree, but he's overdone that one. He's going to have to correct. He's losing valuable seconds. Don't forget, it's against the clock. This auto test course devised by Dick Squires, a former British auto test champion. Kankkunen into that first obstacle and reversing very gingerly across towards the garage. But he's making sure all four wheels are across that line. And 360-degree around the bollard, reaching for the handbrake. You can see that rear wheel has stopped, having not a lot of effect. And the finish. But he's slower than Brundle. He's done a 47.2, no penalties, but Martin Brundle still the quickest, 37.9.
Slight difference there between your normal four-wheel drive and the two-wheel drive, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I always forget where are the gears because I'm sitting wrong side of the road, wrong side of the car. And so I always try to open the door when I try to change the gears, so it's a small problem for me.
Are you conscious that all the other drivers are sitting on the barrier watching you?
Oh, I can go there and watch them then and laugh. Thank you.
Now young Gary Brabham, this is his home circuit. He's got to do well here because he's done very well in the rally test, third fastest, and that was a good spin round on the 180-degree. But he had to look round and down to his gearbox, I think. All the way round on the 360-degree, he's gone a bit too far and he's having to go forward. A little bit of grating of the gearbox there, but Gary's doing well. Incidentally, this is taking place on the Brabham Straight, named after his illustrious father.
A little bit of cross up there, loses seconds. I'm going to get cross up the ball, go back properly. A very slow one.
But he's in the garage okay. Oh no! I spoke too soon. He just glanced the barriers there. That's a 10-second penalty for Gary Brabham, unfortunately. Round that bollard okay, and to the finish line, he's going to be upset. It's a 61 seconds with the penalty.
That's the total of 61 seconds. 61 seconds. So, Gary, 61 seconds. That really does do it.
Gary, talk to us. You did a brilliant job on the rally stage this morning. A few little problems there on the auto test.
Well, yeah, in the dummy run we've done just before the stage, I've done okay, but it's one of those things where you make a mistake, So I'm looking forward to the race. make up some points.
10-second penalty as well for hitting
Yeah.
the box there. So all to do in the race.
Yeah, I reckon. Looking forward to it.
Next man away, Grand Prix driver Derek Warwick, and we're looking down at him in his office, twirling the wheel and reaching out for the handbrake, grabbing the gear lever, but Derek on his 360 degree, a little bit too much of the right pedal there. This was the discipline he was dreading. He said, I've messed everything up today, I'm probably going to mess this up as well. Not so bad so far. Out of that garage towards the bollard. He'll be reaching for the handbrake in a minute. Is it coming round? Well, that wasn't so bad from Warwick. He made up for some early mistakes. It's a 40.6. 40.6, Derek. Big applause from the grandstand.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Go on then, what about that? All right?
It was really good. I just went and messed it up a little bit in the big boxes. On the practice run, I got it perfect and come round, and I chickened out and come off the throttle, and it went bleh.
So you're going to go back to the other end now and advise baby brother?
Well, no, I can't anymore, unfortunately, because he's a little bit quicker than me in the last race, and there's a big bet going on, and I can't give him too much more advice.
And there we are back at the other end. It's Per Eklund's chance, the Swedish rally driver, the man who entertains the British crowd so regularly. He's entertaining them here today in this front-wheel drive Toyota Corolla. 360 degrees inside the pen and comes out extremely well indeed. This could be a good timed run from Pekka. He's back through that obstacle. He slightly misjudged that. I'm not sure that he put all four wheels across that white line. No, he didn't. The marshal has his hand up, although he went perfectly round the bollard towards the finish. Oh, dear me, I'm sure there's a penalty there for Per Eklund.
Per, you got a 10-second penalty back there. You didn't go all the way back over the white line. Little man put his hand up.
No, no.
Sure? Yeah, go and tell him he's wrong then.
I is wrong.
Well, Eklund doesn't agree, but let's have a look courtesy of a replay, see if all four wheels go over that white line. No, in fact, they don't, so the marshal was right. There is a 10-second penalty, giving a time of 49.5.
England is not my country.
That reference, of course, is to his recent disqualification from the RAC Rally, pending appeal in his Audi Quattro. Hard luck, Pekka. And now it's the turn of Emily Newman, the young 17-year-old lass, the Brands Hatch racing instructor. Let's see if she can get this right. Well, the 180-degree turn didn't go too well, and she's revving the engine a little bit hard, but she's into the pen. Now she wants a 360-degree turn. Oh, dear me. She's backed into the fence. That's 10 seconds immediately. Come on, Emily. Sort it out. No, she's reversed into a corner of the pen that's going to be difficult to get out of now. Well, she knows all those Grand Prix drivers and rally drivers are sitting on the fence watching her, smiling. But she's done a good 360 degree. Well done, Emily. Now she's ready to reverse out of the pen. Very slow, of course, but she's getting there. Out she goes backwards. Forwards through the next obstacle. She's got to get her front wheels over that white line. Not too far, Emily. Not too bad. Oh, she touched another bollard. That's 20 seconds, 2 penalties, and she's looking to reverse into the garage.
Doing quite well on that one. Having a quiet win, I think I'll be stamped on in the car 500. Yes, that's exactly how my wife puts the car in the garage.
Well, Emily Newman taking a bit of flack from the circuit commentator there, but she's going towards that central bollard for a 360-degree turn before she heads back to the finish, but she's got 3 penalties, 30 seconds worth.
Thank you very much.
Emily. Emily. That's not your forte, that, the auto test, is it? Hey?
Oh, I thought I had to get ready somehow.
Really?
Bit of a disaster.
You don't park your car like that at home. Hey?
The front wall's already damaged. What are you going to do about those fences back there? I'm going to apologise to those marshals.
Yeah, I bet I'm better.
You enjoyed it though, didn't you?
Yeah, it was fun.
16 pounds down.
Now it's the turn of Jonathan Palmer, the normally aspirated Formula One champion, and he's looking quite serious about this. Oh, he stalled, I think. Saw him reaching for the ignition keys there. In the pen, looking to do a good 360-degree turn, and it looks good. Lots of tyre smoke anyway. Here the Corolla emerges backwards. Quite good. Slotting from reverse into first, wheels across the white line, juggling that gear lever there. This looks good from Palmer. All four wheels back into the garage. Now he's got to try and handbrake it round this 360. Oh, superb handbrake turn from a racing driver. Of course, the marshals have been putting water down there. Stride the lines. Good one from Jonathan Palmer. Jonathan, what did you make of that lot then?
I think I like the rallying better.
Is that a bit difficult?
Well, this is when you stall it.
Did you stall?
I stalled it, yeah. Yeah, it didn't help very much. Good fun, but not as fun as the rallying. Yeah. What do I do, 50 seconds?
I'd rather not tell you.
Was it that bad? Oh dear.
But you're still in contention.
Are we?
Yes.
Oh good, it's still down to the race now then, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't that bad. 44.8 for Jonathan Palmer, and now it's the turn of a superstar rally driver, Stig Blomqvist, and he shows just why, executing a beautiful 180-degree turn. Slight difficulty there with the gearbox, trying to go into reverse gear. Swedish Ford star nearly overcooked that on his 360-degree, but he comes out quite well. Nice control through that first obstacle, selects reverse much better this time, Blomqvist. And into the garage, all four wheels across. Of course, he's had the benefit of watching Eklund mess that one up from the pit wall. But still, the rally driver having difficulty with the handbrake turn. Not as good as Palmer, but through and across the finish line of 46.1. Stig. Very neat, very tidy. Little mistake just at the beginning going into the box. What happened?
I didn't get in the reverse gear, that was the problem.
What's happening with all the rest of the drivers back there? They're all laughing and enjoying it.
It looked like that, so they're all playing around, so
right.
See what's happening on the race.
But the racing, of course, is probably best for you, isn't it? You did Formula 3 racing back in the early days, didn't you?
But still, against those racing drivers, it's too difficult. But okay, we have to try to play them out some way.
Now 18-year-old Paul Warwick, one of the newcomers, off the line into his 180-degree. That's well done. Ready to reverse into the pen. Perfectly done, in fact. Casually laying his arm across the door there. That's a good 360-degree. Very well done by the 18-year-old Warwick. He knows his brother's watching, I think. Oh, dear. Slightly too far. So he's got to reverse out of that one and forwards again into that obstacle. Wheels astride the white line and now traverse the course into the garage. Probably taking it a little bit easy now because of that overcooking it there just before. So Paul Warwick looking to beat his brother in times here on the auto test. 360-degree round the bollard into the finish. It's a 49.1. He's slower than his brother, unfortunately for him. Paul, you needed those points, didn't you?
Yes, I did. What time did I do?
You did a 49.1. That's not too bad. You went through
it up, didn't I? Tried too hard there.
You just overshot slightly.
That's right.
As they say in auto testing.
Yeah, slightly.
Well, what about this race?
Well, it's looking good because I'm second on the grid, so let's go for it, I suppose.
Now, don't take anybody off, especially not your brother.
Oh, would I do a thing like that?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, after watching some of that, I think I've got the safest place at Brands Hatch up here on the gantry. Now, let's be fair, some terrific driving and some pretty good times as well. Martin Brundle first away, 37.9 was his time. Nobody could better it. What a pity Per Eklund picked up those penalty points. Otherwise, he would have come very close indeed. Well, let's have a look how that changes the overall placings. Not too much, I have to tell you. Juha Kankkunen still leads in first place, despite spending more time there holding onto the door handle than the gear lever. In second place, it's Stig Blomqvist. That was the 1-2 after the first discipline. Third now, Martin Brundle, after, as we've said, a very good time on that auto test. Equal fourth, it's Jonathan Palmer and Derek Warwick. Equal sixth, Gary Brabham and Per Eklund. Eighth is Paul Warwick. And in ninth place, Emily Newman. So the rally stars still dominating, but how much will it change as we enter the third discipline, that the traditional circuit race, and we'll be watching them 10 laps round. Welcome back to Brands, and this very much the moment of truth, the climax to the 1987 speed test competition. 10 circuits of Brands Hatch. It's all down now to this circuit race. Let's rejoin Tony Jardine.
Well, let's just listen in on organiser Nick Britton while he briefs the drivers before the start of this event.
A lovely day up until now. You've brought all the rally cars back in one piece. You've brought all the auto test cars back in one piece. We've got 9 of these. Can we keep them all in one piece, please? Let's have a nice race.
Stig.
Don't want anything like last year, Mr. Blomqvist or Mr. Brundle. Let's have them all in one piece.
Oh, that was nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
Delivered back here at the end of the race. Break, have a good clean fight, but don't come out fighting. Okay? Into your cars, let's strap up and go. Thanks a lot.
Well, that was Nick Britton lecturing the drivers. He wants those Toyota MR2s back in one place, but there's Martin Brundle, the Grand Prix driver, the man who'll be driving for Jaguar next year, on pole position, and they've got it all to do. It's the rally drivers against the racing drivers, against the coming man, and they're away at the start of this 10-lapper, and immediately it's Paul Warwick gone into the lead, but Martin Brundle's on the inside. He's being forced onto the grass. Meanwhile, Palmer goes into the lead, and it looks like they've locked bumpers there. Yes, they have indeed. Paul Warwick has forced Brundle off, but it looks like Kankinen's gone off, and Blomqvist as well. Meanwhile, the others are away and towards Druids. Now let's have a look from Blomqvist's camera on the rear of his car. Yes, he got a nudge there. Into Paddock Bend. Yes, Stig Blomqvist has revolved, but he's still going. And you can see those other cars back up there on the outside of Paddock Bend. And in the meantime, there is Jonathan Palmer in the lead. And Blomqvist seems to have recovered. No, he hasn't. What a spin. Seems to be a problem there. Stig Blomqvist's car. There's a lot of smoke coming out of the back. Well, I can see what it is. There's a puncture, and he's driving round on the rim. It looks like Stig's race is run. Here's a replay of that incident at Paddock Bend at the start. Paul Warwick obviously chopping across Martin Brundle. They're bashing panels, they're bashing each other, and they're both spinning. There's Juha Kankinen having to take to the inside, and Blomqvist spinning off down Paddock Hill. Well, looks like Blomqvist is facing the right way, but that's 4 of them in trouble at the very start of the race. Meanwhile, here is Martin Brundle. Our camera is inside him. Back to the race.
It's a real pity that. It's really just obviously knocked us clean out of winning the rally sprint. Just trying to be silly and clever going into the first corner. Anyway, we'll see how much we can catch up on these other guys. Catching car number 8, whoever that is. Car number 6, sorry.
And in fact, he's now catching number 6, that's Emily Newman. So it's Martin Brundle, the Grand Prix driver, against the newcomer Emily Newman, and she's off on the grass on the outside. Not very good for a Brands Hatch racing instructor. Meanwhile, there's number 2, that's Juha Kankinen, recovering from that early spin at Paddock Bend. He's now going through clearways, and there is number 9 right at the back, the man who caused that incident, Paul Warwick. And here's our leader, Jonathan Palmer. In second place is Derek Warwick. In third place is Gary Brabham, the coming man, the man who won 2 Formula 3 races this year, ran out of budget, is looking to do Formula 3 again this year. Meanwhile, Derek Warwick is taking to the grass, and that's let Gary Brabham catch up again. But he's going wild as well. His MR2's all over the place. Jonathan Palmer's probably loving this. Oh, someone getting totally sideways there. That is Paul Warwick. He's spun again. He's going to be in big trouble with the Warwick family. That means he's dead last, and Kankinen's gone ahead of him up into 7th place. Palmer, nice and neat, up into Druids. Still Warwick in second place, that's Warwick Senior. And in third place, Gary Brabham. Warwick's probably looking in his mirrors now and thinking that young upstart's not going to get past me. So on the Cooper Straight there, heading towards Clearways, and exiting in the Clark Curve. Still a little bit untidy. The Grand Prix driver, Derek Warwick, the Arrows driver, trying to fend off Gary Brabham, the Formula 3 driver, the Australian, whose home is, after all, here at Brands Hatch. He knows every inch of this tarmac, and there's Gary. Across that bit of water from the auto test. He's looking on the outside to go into paddock, and he's diving down the inside. A great manoeuvre from Gary Brabham. Obviously knows it well. Warwick's not having any of that. Two wheels up on the curb, over the grass, and using part of the old circuit. And looking to see if he can get back some of that space he's lost up at Druids, the hairpin. To be very careful here. This is a great dice. Of course, these cars are all on road tyres. You can hear them squealing. Equal and power output. It's all down to the driver challenge. And this, of course, seems to be going the way of the racing drivers rather than the rally drivers now. But Gary Brabham is ahead of Derek Warwick. What can Warwick do about that? Totally sideways from Brabham, and that is going to let Warwick back in. He's got the inside line there at Clearways, coming out on Clark Curve along the Brabham Stake, heading towards Paddock Bend. They're side by side. Goodness me, it couldn't be closer. They're going to bash door handles, Nick Britton. But Warwick runs slightly wide, and down the inside going into Druids, it's Gary Brabham. This Brands Hatch expert is really showing the way. Meanwhile, there's Palmer out front. He's got a good 10 car lengths ahead of these battling two behind him. And there is Brundle. Martin Brundle now's got up into fourth place. He's ahead of Per Eklund, so he really has been driving hard. He was down in sixth place. He's disposed of Emily Newman, and now he's got ahead of Per Eklund. Can he haul in that battling duo who are battling fiercely for second place of Brabham and Warwick? Kankkunen, in the meantime, is down in seventh place. Let's see if he could catch Emily Newman. And there's Paul Warwick, dead last. Poor Paul. A great start, but got involved, or caused probably, that incident at Paddock Bend. Jonathan Palmer at Brands Hatch. He's won here many, many times before, sports cars, and of course made his Grand Prix debut here. Second place, Brabham. Third place, Warwick. Fourth, Brundle. There he is. He's got Warwick in his sights, and he's leaving Eklund way behind him. There's Per Eklund, the rally driver. And now Jonathan Palmer, the Flying Doctor, winning at Brands Hatch again, as he has done in sports cars and Formula 3 cars. In second place, Gary Brabham, the 26-year-old Australian. Third place, Derek Warwick, the Grand Prix driver. And close behind him, hot on his heels, Martin Brundle, another Grand Prix driver, recovering to take fourth place. Excellent. There's Palmer taking victory in the race. He could take overall victory. Flashing his lights there, Gary Brabham. And there's Derek Warwick and Martin Brundle. And behind Brundle should finish Per Eklund. In fact, he's going across the line now. Emily Newman in sixth place. Seventh, Juha Kankkunen after that incident at Paddock Bend. And in last place, Paul Warwick after Stig Blomqvist retired. Here he is, Dr. Jonathan Palmer, the winner of this MR2 race. And Gary Brabham executing a victory roll there. And Derek Warwick coming home with a gentle nudge. All good fun now.
Oh, I never touched you.
Yeah, right there. Very easy for you by the look of it.
Yeah, it was, yes. When, I think, was it, no, Derek had obviously been given Paul Warwick some driving instruction, which is why Paul collided with Martin on the start. And of course, you get a clear road, and you just got to keep them. For the first time this weekend, I've been doing something which I am used to, and of course it wasn't too difficult.
It was a shame, really, because it would have been a good race. I mean, Paul cut in on Martin, and it was a shame, because otherwise it would have been a terrific race.
You and Martin were having a nice dive towards the end there, weren't
Yes, he was catching me rather quickly, and I was thinking, oh, what's it look like on the points?
Still working it out. Come and talk to us, Martin.
Yes.
Could you just tell us what happened at the first corner? Was that young
Paul got
Paul?
away slightly quicker than me, and he was trying his Formula 4 tactics, and I just could do nothing about it. I was trying to steer out of the barrier, and was sort of getting a helping hand from all directions there at one point, and simply had to wait for the net result, because I was getting a punch from behind, I think. Certainly a good one from the side, and that was it. No, not to worry.
That was the drive of the race as far as we were concerned. You came back through the field very well indeed.
Yeah, maybe because I was a bit angry. Who's that? Stop it, I like it.
It's your mate Warwick. Well done anyway, Martin. We'll just work out the points and get straight back to you. And in fact, the racing drivers take overall honours, with Jonathan Palmer finishing first with 28 points, second place Derek Warwick with 25 points, third place Martin Brundle tied on 25 with Warwick, but Warwick goes through because he was second in the auto test.
Jonathan Palmer, many congratulations. Did you enjoy that?
Tremendous event. It really was. It's the first time for me here at the Rallysprint, but it's been probably more fun than any other motorsport activity I've done this year. Tremendous.
But you're saying something. You quite plainly enjoyed the rally event.
Yes, I did. Of all the three events, the most fun, most enjoyable was the rallying event for me. I'm just going to have to do some more rallying. It is so much fun. The way the car was drifted along, it's wonderful.
Jonathan Palmer, thanks very much indeed. We've enjoyed it. Hope you have too. For those of you that didn't know what speed test was, you do now. Trust you'll join us next time out. For the time being, bye-bye now.